New leadership comes together to improve your quality of life in Baltimore. Insight on how police will crack down on low-level offenses. A critical error lets a teen suspected of murder back onto the streets.
If there are witnesses to that crime, those witnesses are potentially in jeopardy.
How long he was walking free and why some say this has happened before. A civil rights group continues its efforts to improve education statewide. We question why multiple school systems weren't interested in discussing solutions.
When people won't come to the table and discuss the problems, you force people to sue.
More than 3,000 cars stolen in the city this year. What experts say is behind the surge and how these vehicles are often connected to other violent crime.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
We're following breaking news out of Northeast Baltimore, a large police presence at the intersection of York Road and Cold Spring Avenue. We're hearing reports of multiple people shot. It's unclear right now just how many.
Fox 45's Vincent Hill is on the scene. We're expecting an update from police any moment. Commissioner Rich Worley is on the way and expected to speak in about 30 minutes. We'll bring you an update as soon as we have more information. Good evening, I'm Kai Jackson. And I'm Maxine Stryker. We're following two developing stories tonight. A suspected killer in Baltimore accidentally released and allowed to roam city streets for nearly 2 weeks. We'll have more on that in just a moment. We begin with Keith Daniels and a memo sent to Baltimore police about how to handle those so-called low-level offenses like trespassing and loitering, so-called quality of life crimes. And Keith, this has been a cornerstone of City State's Attorney Ivan Bates' agenda.
That's right, Maxine and Kai. Now, that citation initiative kicked off this week. And tonight, more guidance for officers on how to enforce it. Baltimore City returning to order. Seemingly the message from City State's Attorney Ivan Bates.
You must be accountable.
His push to bring back accountability with his new citation initiative to tackle low-level crimes. Tonight, as first reported by the Baltimore Banner, word of a memo issued by Acting Police Commissioner Rich Worley that lays out in detail how officers should carry out enforcement for several so-called quality of life offenses, including open container violations, urinating in public, even for dirt bikes. The memo gives officers guidance, for example, telling them what arrest can be made now without supervisor approval. Among those offenses, drug possession and prostitution. Those that still require approval include loitering and littering. Bates' new citation docket is a stark contrast from his predecessor, Marilyn Mosby, who stopped prosecuting crimes she considered low-level during the COVID pandemic, making the policy permanent in March 2021, insisting there was no public safety value in prosecuting such crimes.
We're back in session for State's Attorney's Office.
At Bates' budget hearing last week, Mosby's husband, City Council President Nick Mosby, peppered Bates with questions about the
on the bone at all as far as ideas.
From crime policy to education, the governor is facing questions on a myriad of topics, and we've questioned him time and time again about those proposals.
But we also saw a lot of bills didn't make it through that would have implemented more accountability for juvenile offenders. Do you know why those didn't move?
Well, I think it is incredibly important that we collectively deal with this issue. The challenge that so many of our juveniles are having in both the lead up as to why we're having so many youth involved in these instances, but also the fact that there needs to be accountability.
But the questions don't always get a direct answer.
Have you used your position in the governor's office to really lobby and push lawmakers to move forward on some of those bills?
Yeah, I've been very clear with not just legislators, but with also people throughout this state that the number one priority for any chief executive has got to be making sure that your people are safe.
Why not come out and say this needs to happen?
Yeah, no, I know this has had a difficult time throughout the legislature, and I know that we've got to be able to both get the illegal guns off of our streets. We need to focus on how we're increasing penalties for people who are carrying around illegal guns.
Do you think the state should launch an investigation into the city school system?
Well, I think one thing needs to happen is we've got to move and take this seriously.
Right now, investigation, yes or no?
Well, I think that what we have to do from a state perspective is the state needs to continue making sure that people know that we are going to commit to having the proper resources and having the proper supports. We need to make sure that we're holding all of our jurisdictions accountable, local jurisdictions, and also the Board of Education.
Even when asked a specific question about if lawmakers are doing enough to hold criminals accountable.
Is that happening?
I'm anxious to see what makes it through the legislative process.
Yes or no?
I'm anxious to see what makes it through the legislative process.
He's got to come up with some more specifics.
Dede says Moore needs to come out with policy plans to match his rhetoric about his vision for the future of Maryland.
At least when Obama had rhetoric, there was some meat on the bone. Rhetoric works fine and promises work fine until one day when the rubber meets the road and you have to say, what specifically are you going to do?
And he points to the latest Gonzalez poll showing Moore has a 55% approval rating among Maryland voters as a reason Moore might not shift his direction.
The rhetoric will work because I don't have to come up with something yet.
But that same poll shows voters want a tougher on crime policy. The same plans Moore and some Democrats in Annapolis have not moved forward on.
What bill will target illegal guns right now in the General Assembly?
Well, you know, I think as the General Assembly is going through its process, the thing that I want them to know is that the resources that we're putting in to be able to focus on increasing intelligence sharing, making sure that we are having license plate readers, so we're keeping these illegal guns out of the state of Maryland.
You think that they're doing that right now?
I'm eager to see what makes it through the legislature.
And more questions the governor sidesteps without offering direct answers.
John Dede says the next legislative session will be crucial for the governor to work with his Democratic allies in the State House to bring some of his plans into reality. We'll have to wait and see if that will include a roadmap for implementation when the session begins next year. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
We started the morning with rain. We got a nice break from the rain for much of the afternoon, but then this evening, the showers returned. Now we are mostly dry as that rain moves toward the Atlantic. Still seeing some showers close to Ocean City and a few storms there, but for most of us, we're nice and dry right now, and we'll stay that way for the rest of the night. Temperatures drop to the upper 50s and the low 60s with partly cloudy skies. And then tomorrow, we start with nice and dry weather, and we keep the dry pattern for the rest of the weekend. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at what you can expect for Saturday and Father's Day and my full forecast. Back to you.
Still ahead on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock tonight, day 2 of the NAACP conference to discuss school inequality for black students in Maryland. Why they're threatening legal action as some of Maryland's lowest performing school systems didn't send a representative. Baltimore is averaging 19 car thefts a day so far this year. The budding safety issues and why the city may not be out of the woods just yet. And coming up at 10:30 tonight, it's a beautiful night for a ball game. How a local group is bringing superheroes to life on the diamond, all for a great cause.
We're continuing to follow that breaking news out of Northeast Baltimore. 5 people shot, every victim taken to an area hospital. It happened at the intersection of York Road and Cold Spring Lane.
Now, the extent of the injuries at this time is unclear. Fox 45's Vincent Hill is on the scene, where we're expecting an update from Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley. As soon as we have him available, we'll bring you those comments live.
I'm hoping we can come up with solutions. You know, just talking about the problems, identifying them is not enough. We got to come up with solutions for on behalf of our kids.
It's the final day of the NAACP's conference, addressing a dire situation, in their words, surrounding the education of black children in Maryland schools.
The group inviting superintendents from across the state to attend, but only one was there. So how will the NAACP move forward? Fox 45's Jeff Abel explains.
For Baltimore City, and I can only take them for example, not to come to the table and discuss it, I think it's an insult.
With the conference now over, the NAACP's Doc Cheatham is convinced it's time for bold action.
If you're having problems, it means you got to get rid of some people.
And each and every one of you have the solutions.
The NAACP launched this first ever conference on Thursday with hopes of finding solutions to the crisis in this state's classrooms. In Maryland, the 2 lowest performing school districts are Baltimore City and Prince George's County. Both districts have the highest percentage of African American students.
We talk about problems all the time. Now's the time to talk about solutions.
The NAACP invited representatives from all 24 local school districts in Maryland to come to the table and find solutions during its 2-day conference. Just 7 of the 24 school districts were represented.
For these counties to disrespect us in the way that they did and not sending someone, I think it's an insult, and I think the punishment should be we should ask for the resignation.
No comment? Why is that? Deputy State School Superintendent Dr. Sylvia Lawson did attend the conference, but refused to discuss the problems or the solutions.
Why doesn't the state want to talk about any of this?
We do plan on communicating with the districts that did attend, as well as those that did not attend. And eventually we will, determine exactly what the next steps are.
Waiting until October, I think it's too far.
But longtime member Doc Cheatham is convinced
I don't think we can wait that long.
The writing is on the wall.
And when people won't come to the table and discuss the problems, giving their spin on everything rather than telling you the truth, you force people to sue.
Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
The president of the organization says it could be before October before the group decides what, if any, action will be taken. Again, Doc Cheatham said he believes that's too long. The Maryland NAACP says they want to find solutions to problems facing black students. And today the group discussed math, reading, and proficiency on state exams. In Baltimore City, only 7% of students between 3rd and 8th grade are proficient in math. In Prince George's County, it's only 10%. The NAACP argues black children are more vulnerable to the school-to-prison pipeline because of those stats.
The concerns raised by the NAACP have also captured the attention of civil rights attorney Ben Crump. He recently spoke with political commentator Armstrong Williams about failures in the education system and what leaders need to do to fix it.
Well, they should engage in it. They should lean into it. They should come together as stakeholders in the community and say that we can and we must do better by our children to make sure they have quality educations. And when I say everybody has to lean in, that's everybody. It has to be not just the education community, but it has to be the faith-based community, the business community. It has to have the city leadership willing to engage and listen to the stakeholders in the community and not have an attitude that they know what's best.
Attorney Ben Crump is currently part of a lawsuit against Baltimore City schools filed by city residents Giovanni and Shawanda Patterson. The Pattersons claim the city is misusing tax dollars because students in the public school system aren't getting the education they deserve.
Armstrong Williams had a conversation with City State's Attorney Ivan Bates. During that conversation, the two talked about Bates' transition into the City State's Attorney's office and his public safety fight.
What we're saying to individuals that have illegal handguns that perpetrate violence, that door we're focused on is the door to hold you accountable. Now, we still believe in the wraparound services. We still believe in the reentry programs. That's very important to help you change your life. But if you have an illegal handgun in Baltimore City, we're looking to hold you accountable. And accountability, we said, looks like the former jail.
Well, Bates also spoke about parenthood and the role fathers play in a child's life. Don't miss our Your Voice, Your Future town hall this Sunday at 5 o'clock on Fox 45. It also airs tomorrow at 4 on the CW Baltimore and Sunday at 7 on MyTV. And you can watch it anytime on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
We had a little bit of rain move around the region today, but now we're back to mostly dry weather across the state, and will stay nice and dry for the rest of the weekend. We are looking at a gorgeous day tomorrow with highs in the mid-80s, the upper 80s on Sunday for Father's Day, and the upper 80s once again on Monday for Juneteenth. But after that, we've got our next chance for rain. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the weekend forecast and what to expect and when we have that rain coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Outrage from some parents over an annual hate report from the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Several parental groups made the list. National correspondent Janae Bowens has a look at the controversy.
So it's absurd and silly, but also unsurprising.
Erica Sanzi with Parents Defending Education fighting back after her group was put on the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate list. She spoke with the national desk Friday morning.
They have one preferred ideology, and anybody who does not conform to that is, in their minds, a hateful group.
This year's report features more than 1,200 groups they label as hate and anti-government extremists. New to the list are 12 conservative parents' rights groups. The SPLC says they spew homophobic and transphobic speech in the name of protecting their children's innocence and embrace racist and nationalist ideology.
They're showing their bias and their activism against what these groups are calling for, which is more parental involvement in their children's education.
Echoes of a 2021 letter to President Biden from the National School Boards Association that suggested threats from parents aimed at school officials were, quote, domestic terrorism and hate crimes, prompting the Justice Department to direct federal law enforcement to work with local authorities. The association eventually apologized for sending the letter.
And the SPLC is demonizing them in order to silence their views and make it seem like they're extremist, like they're comparable to the KKK.
Tyler O'Neill, managing editor of the Heritage Foundation's Daily Signal and author of Making Hate Pay, The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center, says the list is a profitable strategy.
Hate is everywhere. You need to give to us because we're monitoring hate.
Their 2021 report shows their endowment is nearly $732 million. In the past, the SPLC has lost lawsuits and even had to walk back designations in 2014, apologizing to Dr. Ben Carson for placing him on their extremist watch list. And amid the controversy, House Republicans have filed a resolution defending the parental rights groups. In Washington, I'm Janae Bowens.
Ahead at 10:30, nearly 19 cars stolen every day in Baltimore, where the city is seeing its biggest surges as police try to explain this troubling trend.
Gotta catch 'em all. How Pokemon cards led Harford County Police to a man suspected of making explosives.
And they're marvelous. They show us powers that we don't even have inside.
A team of superheroes in a Baltimore ball field near you. The power of inclusivity on full display in tonight's Maryland Moment.
We're following breaking news at this hour out of Northeast Baltimore.
Fox 45's Vincent Hill is live with an update on a shooting. Vincent?
Yeah, Maxine Kai, I want to step out of the way. Again, 5 people shot here at East Cold Spring Lane. Again, 5 people shot. We don't know their conditions. We do know they were taken to the hospital. Now, at this gas station, we can assume the shooting started here. You can still see evidence markers. We actually saw shell casings over here, but I want to pan this way to show you just how long this crime scene is extending. It's going several blocks, and just a few minutes ago, detectives were still searching for evidence. I think off in the distance there in the shadows, you can still see a detective over here searching for evidence. Again, we're waiting for Acting Commissioner Richard Worley to arrive on the scene to provide us details, but again, 5 people shot. We don't know their conditions. For right now, live in Baltimore, Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
All right, Vincent, thanks for that update. More than 3,000 car thefts already this year in Baltimore. Carjackings are up in every Baltimore police district.
Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell explains the trend and why experts think it's going to get worse.
Video surveillance captures the moment a pedestrian was killed after police say a fleeing suspect careened onto the sidewalk and into a building in East Baltimore.
We have two vehicles under the bridge, and a pedestrian under the bridge.
The car, investigators say, had been reported stolen in the city just days earlier. The statistics staggering. So far this year, at least 3,162 cars have been reported stolen across the city. That's a 138% increase compared to this time last year. In fact, data from the Baltimore Police Department shows auto thefts have increased in all 9 districts. Northeast Baltimore is experiencing the largest spike with nearly 900 reported auto thefts just 6 months into the year. That's a 312% increase. The Southeastern District, a distant second with 356 auto thefts, followed by the Northern and Southern districts.
The general reason why cars are stolen nowadays or carjacked is to provide a vehicle to commit other crimes.
Former Baltimore Police Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson detailing those other crimes include robberies, shootings, and even homicides, with the stolen car being a way to carry out the act as well as avoid immediate detection.
And that's the general modus operandi.
Johnson also pointing out auto thefts are often committed by juveniles. Former FBI agent, now law enforcement expert Tyrone Powers agrees and believes the problem will only get worse this summer.
With juvenile crime increasing and more young people in the streets and on the streets day and night, then that will increase.
The Baltimore Police Department blaming the spike largely on vehicle manufacturers Hyundai and Kia and TikTok. Videos posted to the social media platform, the city says, demonstrate how to steal the cars due to faulty technology. Back in May, the mayor announcing Baltimore joined a lawsuit against the automotive companies for, quote, failing to equip their vehicles with industry-standard vehicle immobilization technology. Powers says an increased police presence and ensured consequence would better deter criminals.
Unless we have more of a police presence, this way a police presence is important, then it will continue to spike.
Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Fox 45 News asked Baltimore police what they're doing to address the issue. In addition to the lawsuit, a spokesperson says they're providing wheel locks to residents. A similar effort is underway in surrounding counties. A Fox 45 investigation reveals that Mayor Brandon Scott's former chief of staff is still earning 6 figures despite moving to a job with unclear responsibilities. Kezia Kager joined the mayor's staff last year, facing several questions about the inner workings of the mayor's office. She was part of the City Hall shakeup last month when she left her top spot, but she's still earning a $160,000 salary as special assistant to the mayor. City Council President Nick Mosby said he didn't know anything about the shift, concerned about the communication between his office and the mayor's office.
I don't know the background as to the abrupt departure. Obviously that's a personnel matter for the mayor to kind of communicate, but what I can tell you is specifically they have never communicated that to me.
Do you know what a special assistant to the mayor does?
No idea. That would probably be better for the mayor to answer.
As a city council president, do you feel like the council should have any sort of input or at least get a heads up when somebody is shifted over? I mean, $160,000 is a pretty high salary for somebody in a position that no one seems to know what she's doing.
No, that's definitely a good salary, particularly for Baltimore City government. It's more than I make. But yeah, totally. I mean, I think that we've talked to the administration and particularly the CA, Faith Leach, about communication and ensuring that the council's up to date. Obviously we never want to learn stuff through the media, and it's concerning.
Fox 45 is trying to find out the specific job description of a special assistant to the mayor and how many other people have that same title. So far, we have not heard back from the mayor's office or Kager herself.
Fox 45 News is learning a juvenile who's suspected in a killing was accidentally released in Baltimore, free for nearly 2 weeks before being arrested again. The Baltimore Sheriff's Department first tipped our Vincent Hill this afternoon, and he explains how something like this could fall through the cracks.
Tonight, a juvenile murder suspect behind bars after being on the run for almost 2 weeks
when, according to the Baltimore City Sheriff's Office, a clerical error on June 2nd by the Baltimore Circuit Court Clerk's Office dropped the charges by mistake, putting a murder suspect back into the community.
I was not shocked at all.
Eurypsy Morgan of the group Peace, learning the news of the suspect's release.
What we've seen in Baltimore City, of course, is that there has been a huge, I think, gaping hole.
Calling the mistake a grim reminder of the city's struggle to hire qualified people.
We need to start looking at the agencies in Baltimore City and make sure that we have the right people in those positions, that they are being monitored and trained appropriately. And how is that impacting community residents in Baltimore?
If there are witnesses to that crime and discovery has been provided, those witnesses are potentially in jeopardy.
Attorney Kirk Nachman says the, quote, erroneous mistake could have been deadly, and it's not the first time.
I know for a fact, based on cases that I've been involved with, that it's happened before.
Nachman says Baltimore City is the only jurisdiction still using paper files and forms.
Maybe all it really took was one number in a court file for a dismissal form to be transposed, and this person would have been released.
But he says there's another possibility.
The second possibility is obviously more nefarious. It's that someone intentionally filled out this paperwork in order to get this defendant released.
Fox 45 not able to reach the circuit court for comment, but will be following up next week.
Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Anne Arundel County Police are looking for two men believed to have vandalized a Black Lives Matter sign at Ark and Dove Presbyterian Church in Odenton. Police shared this picture of the two men appearing to vandalize that sign on Tuesday night. It's at least the fourth act of vandalism at the same church in 15 months. Anyone with information is asked to call Anne Arundel County Police.
A man in Aberdeen has been charged with detonating homemade explosives in his neighborhood. 34-year-old Jeremiah Burnett is accused of setting explosions off in the middle of the night since mid-May, and police were able to use Pokemon cards, yes, Pokemon cards, to track him down. Burnett was arrested a few days earlier with a stack of those cards in his pocket. Then someone found a Pokemon card on Burnett's porch while they were arguing about loud noises from the bombs. Police connected the dots, got a warrant to search Burnett's house, where they found several packages of Pokemon cards. Burnett was charged with possession of a destructive device. He's been released on bond. Taking a look now at the Fox box, top left, a guilty verdict in the case of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooter. Robert Bowers was convicted on 63 counts, including 11 counts of first-degree murder and hate crimes, after carrying out the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history.
On the top right, Daniel Ellsberg, the whistleblower who disclosed the Pentagon Papers, has died. The papers exposed government deception about the Vietnam War and led to a rise in the anti-war movement. Ellsberg was 92 years old.
Bottom left, a live look at the construction site following Sunday's bridge collapse on I-95 in Philadelphia. President Biden is set to do an aerial tour of the site during his visit to Philly tomorrow.
On the bottom right, one of the NBA's icons is selling his team. Michael Jordan will no longer be the majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets, selling the team to two men on the NBA Board of Governors. Jordan has owned the team since 2010. Be sure to sign up for News on the Go. Go to our website, foxbaltimore.com, and click on Mobile Alert Sign Up under the Station tab. You can also download the Fox 45 app for your smartphone. Search WBFF in your app store. A local father on a mission to make sure baseball is a game that can be played and celebrated by everyone.
Fox 45's Megan Gillen and photojournalist Nathan Aaron take us to the ballpark to meet some superheroes in tonight's Maryland Moment.
Brody's over there, and there's a whole nother team. You want that come with you?
It's not just any Saturday at the ballpark. It's the championship game. The finishing touches are being made to perfect the diamond. And one by one, the town of Manchester, Maryland is arriving with some of the top local players and mascots cheering from the sidelines. You can feel the excitement. Team Marvels is ready to take the field. Brody Vaughn steps up to the plate.
Ready, let it rip. Go, Brody, go!
And he's off. What might be a single for some. turns into a double for Brody.
Nice hit. Ready to run, Brody. Ready to run.
The crowd is into it. And for some of these players,
Go, Dylan! Go, Dylan! Go, 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 go!
it's the first time those cheers are for them.
Many of the players on our team, sometimes they're the cheerleaders.
Chris Vaughn isn't just the coach of Team Marvels. He's also Brody's dad.
Brody started asking a lot why his sister plays and he doesn't. I don't like to say disability, but his ability is different than others and it's invisible sometimes. Brody is diagnosed with autism at 2.5 years old, and he was nonverbal for a while. Brody asked, Dad, why can't I play on a team? And I said, you can. We'll make one for you.
And Team Marvels emerged.
And they're marvelous. They show us powers that we don't even have inside.
Giving these superheroes a chance to show their skills.
Go, 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 go!
An opportunity to play.
I wanted to offer the Americans pastime and go past just the play, to actually teach too. They got to work on the overhand throw. They have to work on the catch. They have to work on that swing. Ready? You got to try one challenge once.
Now in its second year, they are stacked with 15 girls and boys who just want to play ball.
You're gonna get the ball!
Everybody's son and daughter is important. Some of us get opportunities others don't. And my whole goal is to just open the doors for them and let them walk through.
I hit the teapot first, then the next time I did it, I hit it in the air. Thank you!
And the best part's right there at the end, how they all just come together.
Thank you! Thank you!
What do we say, guys? 1, 2, 3,
We win every day. Team Marvels, we never lose.
And anyone that gets the chance to watch these athletes play,
Oh my God, you got a medal?
wins too.
Working with a child who sees the world different and has to navigate it a little different than we do, it humbles you, it teaches you grace, patience, and to be truthful. It really teaches you that it probably doesn't really matter. Just put a smile on. You should be happy to get another day.
I'm so proud of you. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Go, Brody!
In Manchester, I'm Megan Gillen, Fox 45 News.
What a sweet story. Still ahead, many states considering decriminalizing drug possession, why they're making the move, and one state where that hasn't seen success. Ahead on the late edition of Florida scam artist targeting grandparents in Maryland, how he was able to steal millions in his role in a bigger scheme.
And showers and storms continue to push toward the Atlantic. We're mostly dry now, and we stay that way for the rest of the weekend. I'll let you know how it looks for this Father's Day weekend coming up in my full forecast.